Welcome to my HQ. In the forest, animals don't move at random. They follow precise routes, often invisible to the untrained eye. Today, we're going to learn how to read wildlife trails to understand where and how they move. And above all, how to observe them without disturbing them. Let's begin. Hi, I'm your wildlife guide. Today, we're diving into a fascinating subject: how to spot the small paths that animals use in the forest. When we walk through a forest, we often feel like we're moving freely. Yet very quickly, something appears. A subtle line in the grass. A barely visible trace between the leaves. These are not paths. They are habits. They are called movement corridors, or wildlife trails. Not because they were planned, but because they were repeated, day after day, passage after passage. Many people don't understand the routes animals take. They sometimes seem illogical. They detour, they avoid, they take longer ways around. Where we would go straight ahead, the animal often chooses discretion. Because for them, moving is not about speed. It's about staying alive. When a route works, it is naturally memorized by the animal. The ground is more stable, vegetation offers protection, and footstep noise is better absorbed. It's a safe route, so the animal passes again and again. Over time, as it continues to be used, the passage slowly becomes part of the landscape. Grass is flattened in the same places, leaves are pushed aside, the soil becomes slightly compacted. Without intention, without a plan, the path appears. Some trails remain very narrow, almost invisible, barely perceptible to an untrained eye. Others become wider, more clearly defined, sometimes obvious at first glance. Their shape already tells a story. A discreet trail speaks of a cautious animal, often solitary, seeking cover above all else. A more defined trail indicates frequent passage, regular back and forth movement, or multiple individuals using the same route. Reading these signs is already the first step towards understanding how an animal moves, and why it passes exactly here, rather than somewhere else. To understand a trail, you have to change perspective. An animal doesn't read the land with its eyes, but with its nose. Every scent has an intensity, a direction, a lifespan. It's not just a presence, it's information. A strong scent indicates a recent passage. A weaker one tells of an animal that passed earlier. A broken, scattered scent signals shifting winds or an older movement. The animal doesn't follow a track, it follows a timeline. Where we perceive nothing, the animal reads time. It knows whether another has passed minutes ago, hours ago, or much earlier. It knows whether to move forward, slow down, or avoid the area entirely. Understanding a trail, then, is not just about looking at the ground. It's about imagining what the air carries, what the wind reveals, and how scent turns a simple passage into a true invisible map. For us, time is measured with a watch. For an animal, it is measured through scent. A fresh scent is dense, precise, still concentrated in the air and on the ground. It hasn't yet been dispersed by wind, rain, or sun. By contrast, an older scent becomes diffuse. It spreads, breaks apart, loses intensity. It tells the story of a passage that is no longer immediate, less urgent. An animal doesn't need to know the time. It has no use for it. It simply knows whether someone passed recently, or not. Dogs work in exactly the same way. They know whether their owner left a few minutes ago or several hours earlier, simply because scent changes over time. In wild animals, this reading is even more refined. Their survival depends on this ability to read the immediate past, anticipate the present, and decide whether to move forward or disappear. A trail is not just a passage. It is a timeline. It tells who passed, when, and in what state. Stress, calm, flight, routine. Everything is written in scent. A tense scent is often abrupt, disorganized, loaded with alerts. A calm scent is regular, continuous, settled into the landscape. A flight passage is fragmented, erratic, marked by rapid changes in direction. A routine passage, by contrast, is stable, predictable, repeated day after day. The animal doesn't see a track. It reads a sequence of events. It understands what unfolded here before even placing a paw. Understanding a trail means accepting that ground and air retain the memory of life. And that, for those who know how to read it, time has never truly disappeared. Contrary to what we might think, several species can use the same trails. When the terrain imposes a crossing, a hedge, a stream, a slope, a narrow passage, animals adapt. They don't each invent their own route. They use what the landscape offers them. And yet, there is very little conflict, because they almost never cross paths. Scent does the talking. It indicates who passed, in what state, and above all, how long ago. Time does the sorting. It spaces out movements. It avoids unnecessary encounters. A fox does not use a trail in the same way as a roe deer. A badger does not pass through at the same hours as a wild boar. Each knows its rhythm. Each respects the rhythm of others. What looks like sharing is in reality an invisible organization. A silent coexistence, governed by scent and by time. With experience, you learn to read these trails. You observe their width, the height at which vegetation is worn, grass flattened, always in the same direction. You also notice rubs on tree trunks, polished bark, and branches slightly pushed aside. None of these signs is enough on its own. You never rely on a single, isolated clue. A trail is read like a sentence. Each detail is a word. The ground, the vegetation, the tracks, the scents. Taken separately, they say very little. But together, they tell a coherent story. Reading a trail means connecting these signs, understanding their logic, and letting the land give you the answer. Trails almost never appear by chance. You find them where the terrain forces a choice. Along edges, at the base of hedges, at the foot of slopes, in all transition zones. These are places where the landscape narrows, directs movement, and naturally guides passage. The animal doesn't think about it. It adapts. When the terrain decides, repetition follows. And over time, repetition becomes a trail. For a wildlife photographer, a trail is not a place to stand. It is a place to respect. Walking on it means leaving a fresh, concentrated, unexpected scent. For the animal, this is not neutral information. It is a recent alert. The trail is its line of reading. If you disturb it, you alter the animal's behavior before you even see it. Observing, therefore, is not about settling there. It's about positioning yourself beside it, at a distance, downwind. Leaving the trail intact means letting the animal decide whether to pass or not. Camera traps follow the exact same logic. Never on the trail. Just to the side, at the right distance, close enough to see, far enough to disturb nothing. Yes, animals also use our paths. Because they are wide, predictable, and easy to escape from. A human path offers visibility, clear escape routes, and few surprises. They often move along them at night, when human activity fades and calm returns. For them, a human path is a known risk. It has its rules, its schedules, its habits. By contrast, a disturbed wildlife trail becomes an unpredictable risk. A fresh scent, an unusual passage, a sudden change, anything can trigger avoidance. That's why, in the field, respecting a trail is often more important than trying to follow it. Reading wildlife trails is not about tracking. It's about learning to understand the land before even thinking about photographing it. Observing a trail means slowing down, taking the time to read what the ground, the vegetation, and the air are already telling you. Without forcing, without interfering. The more you observe, the less you disturb. And the less you disturb, the more animals return to their natural behavior. At that point, the forest changes. It is no longer a backdrop. It becomes a language. And when you learn to listen to it, the forest begins to speak. If this video helped you better understand the land, animal behavior, or the realities of wildlife photography while traveling, then you're in the right place. Every week, I share new insights to help you observe, photograph, and understand wildlife in a more ethical and thoughtful way, wherever you are. Subscribe if you want to be notified and keep improving, video after video. I'll see you very soon, out in the field.